Super. Right, welcome class. So you're either watching this video because you're a super swot and you've gone on my Moodle site and you're having a look, and what my vision is to like an iPlayer for classes. So if you can watch it again at some point, or you might have missed my class and you need to catch up, this is where you should be watching these videos from. So we're going to do a few of these series. This is the first one, depending on what order you watch these in. I thought I'd start on something that is pretty important to do, which is fish preparation. So we've got flat fishing for this demo today. As some of you will be working out in industry, in restaurants where the fish comes in already prepared for you. So it takes all that skill out. It's literally the cooking process that you're going to be doing. But it is important, because how embarrassing not to be able to fillet a fish for your chef when you're working out in industry. So I'll go get the Plaice and we'll have a look at it. Okay, so today, Plaice is a flat fish, yeah? So that means it has 4 fillets. And the good thing about learning to do Plaice is it's a reasonably cheaper flat fish than the others. When we talk about halibut and Dover sole, turbot, or the Americans call it turbo. So it's a good one to practice on. Get your skills in this one, because once you can do this flat fish, you can do all the flat fish in the family that go all the way up in the price points as well, and size. Okay, so first of all, how do we know that this fish is the Plaice? It's not Dover sole, lemon sole, halibut, turbot. How can you identify that this is Plaice? Well, if you have a look at it, you can see it's got these rusty spot marks, and that's really a sign that this is Plaice. So this is the right fish for what we want to be doing today. And then when we look at it, we can see it's got 2 eyes there on the top, because this fish lives at the bottom. It's a bottom dweller. So it goes along the floor, its 2 eyes are looking up for predators, and it buries itself in mud for most of the days. It's a very inactive fish, so you probably won't see it. Now, you can find these fish all the way from, let's say, Norway, all the way down to like the Spanish, Portugal mountains. And the younger ones, they tend to be in shallower water, 200 metres, and the larger ones, they tend to go a little bit deeper. So there's a little bit about the fish. Like I said, this has got 4 fillets. It's a question that comes up on your qualification question paper, and it's important to know it's 4 fillets. Okay, so quality points to look at this fish. So what are the quality points? Well, I always think your senses. So you look at it. Does it look like it should? So to me, yeah, it looks healthy. There's no mangy bits. There's no mould growing over it. Yeah, it looks okay. Next, smell. Now, it's not the best thing to be smelling fish, and it is going to smell a fish because it's a fish, but what should it be? Well, it shouldn't be unpleasant. We don't want an unpleasant smelling fish. So if you're smelling fish and it's unpleasant, then, dispose of it. Also the texture, what does it feel like? So it should be quite firm to the touch, and if you push into it and the skin pushes back, then you know that it's a reasonably quality. So we're looking at it, we're smelling it, we're feeling it. That's the way we check the quality. Now, if you're in the supermarket, you can't go around picking the fish up, squeezing it, smelling it and stuff, but you do have fishmongers there, and they're going to be making sure that the quality of the fish is okay. So let's start preparing this fish. I've got my filleting knife with me. Now, you can, as students, and I don't really want you to go out and spend silly money on knives at the moment. I want you just to have a semi-decent filleting knife. And we know this is a filleting knife because it's flexible, look, it bends, and that's going to be really important for what we do next. Okay, so first of all, we're going to remove the gills. And I've got my secateurs here, or kitchen scissors, and we're just going to remove all these bits. And this saves time in the long run. You don't have to, but it does save time. So I'm going to remove those off. And also what I think is important to do is to remove this part here, this skirt, and it's just going to make the filleting process a lot easier. And when you're doing it for the first couple of times, anyway, making it easier for you is probably the best. So take your scissors and you're going to give it a bit of a haircut, following up, and you'll see why shortly when we start to fillet why this is a good method of doing it. I'm going to show you the long way around and everything, the proper way of doing everything, and then later on in your career you can decide what you want to do and what you don't want to do when you're a bit more experienced. So we'll take those off, put them in our rubbish bowl. We've got 1 bowl that we're going to put all this rubbish in. We're going to put 1 bowl for our carcass, because again, when you buy fish from the fishmonger, you're paying for it, you're paying for the whole fish, and if you're disposing of all the bones and stuff, then you're wasting money. So you need to be making stocks for for your sauces, soups, from the bones, fish bones. And again, a lot of places don't tend to use the bones to make the stock. The buying convenience stocks, and you see it's that powder form that's available, and there's nothing wrong with it, but in really high class kitchens they'll be making their own stocks in the session. Okay, remove the tail off as well, give that extra haircut. So now we're looking at this shortened version of the fish. So with our knife, I've already sharpened it, because remember, a sharp knife, you're going to end up with a better end product. It's easier to use, you're going to end up with less wastage, and if you cut yourself with a blunt knife, it's actually more dangerous than a sharp knife. If you cut yourself with a sharp knife, you can pretty much stick it back together with a blue plaster, carry on with work. If it's a blunt knife, it takes a chunk out. So, 4 fillets, we're going to take them off, and I'm doing a lot of talking in between this, so we're going to do this slow with me talking. I've got another one, and I'm going to show you the speed that you need to be able to do it when you're out in industry working. Okay, so we're going to feel, really, it's that one of them senses that we talk about. Bring our finger along the head, and when we feel it go soft, that's that point there, I can feel it without even looking, that's where we want to do our cut. That's hard, when it goes to soft, that's where we're going to cut. So we're going to cut all the way in, and the bone's going to stop us. We can't go any further, physically stop. So we know that when we've gone in with our knife, that's the point to stop. And we've got this natural line that runs down the fish here. Nature's guide for us, we can follow that. So we'll bring our knife all the way down and follow that straight down to the bottom. And although I can feel that, like, there's the backbone of it, it's got like a little ridge, and I can feel that with my fingers as I run across. It's quite jagged, and that's where I know I've hit the right spot. Knife work. Now we're going to turn our knife. So we're going to turn it. This is why it's useful to have a flexible knife. You know, I can fillet fish with a stern, a hard knife, but why would I when I've got a fillet knife? So we're going to push and twist with our knife and get that motion as we go in. And then if you notice, I'm doing long sweeping strokes. I'm not going nip, 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 nip with the knife. I'm not just using the tip, death by 1,000 cuts. I'm using the entire blade to come down into clean, sweeping motions. And that way we're going to end up with a nice fillet of fish rather than lots of haggard little bits. I'm going to keep going. That's the second cut. And because I've removed that skirty bit there, my knife just pops out the other edge rather than getting caught on anything. So that's the first fillet taken off there. You can see that. Now what we're looking at is we're not wanting any flesh left on this carcass part here. If you've got lots of meat or fish flesh on that, then you know you need to do a little bit better for your next attempt. So we're going to pop that off. Now we'll come back to that. We're not finished with it yet. Now the next part, this is where all its guts has been removed. So there's a bit of a pocket there, so we're going to cut just to free that up. And then we're going to repeat the process on the other side. We're going to turn our knife that way. We're going to work that way now with our knife. Free it up. Once, twice. Okay, you can see we're left a tiny little bit on there, and I'll do this maybe once every 6 weeks, so it's not something I do every day. Now fishmongers that do this every day, they'd be laughing at me right now because they're like, how long is it taking to do this? I've watched videos of a guy on a boat, and he's in the Atlantic, and he's salmon fishing, and he gets the fish, goes, and that's it done. But he does that day in, day out, every day, hundreds and thousands of salmon. Okay, now the tricky bit. We're going to flip it over because we've got the other fillets to get. But now we've created sort of like there's a hole underneath where we remove those fillets. There's a cavity. So this is the trickier side to do, and we've got probably the two best fillets out. These are a bit smaller fillets that often you have to put together to make up one portion. So again, we're going to cut, follow that line down, and repeat the process again. Not as easy, not as neat, but we're going to tidy this up anyway. The part of the fish that we want is this part here. We're not bothered about that, so if you are going to make a jaggedy edge, this is the bit of the fish to do it in, and we're going to run our finger down there. We're going to remove that off as well, so that comes off. That's probably the trickier one to do. Next, remember, we're going to feel with the head where it starts to go soft. That's where we're going to do our cut, and repeat down the other side. Okay, so now we're just left with the carcass of the fish. So can you remember what we're using this for? Stock. We'd remove the head off, use the body into a pan of cold water, star anise, cloves, parsley stalks, salt. Bring it up to a boil, onto a simmer, and then reduce it down. Cook it through, and then that's your fish stock. Let it go, a bit of lemon zest or juice in that as well. Brings up the flavours. And then right now we're going to work on the first fillet that we took off. We're going to run our finger along that there. You can see that. We're just going to free that up, and then in one motion we're going to cut along that line there. This one, straight off. That goes into our waist, and then we've left with our fillet of Plaice. Now it's got a skin on. I don't like skin. I went to fish and chip shops down south, bought fish and chips. I was most upset to see that they leave the skin on when they batter the fish. Not for me. I'm not a fan of the skin. So to take the skin off, we're pointing away from us, and we're going to work our way down to the board. When we hit the board, we're going to turn our knife flat, almost flat, and we're just going to run backwards and forwards. Once you've done a little bit, you can get a grip, and really you're letting the knife do the work here. I'm pulling on the skin, I'm agitating the fish a little bit. I've done a rubbish job there. So, take the skin off, and we're going to do this on all of them. Run your finger down first, remove that skirt. And like I said, we don't really want this top part here, so we're going to cut at an angle to our waist ball. And again, now if your fish is moving about a bit on the board, it's a bit wet, then you can put a little bit of salt on your fingers, and it just allows you to get a little bit more purchase on the skin. Skin off. Okay, then we're going to repeat this. And then final one. Run our finger along there. I'll remove it for that. Okay, so what can we do with this fish now that we've filleted it? So there's a few techniques you can do. I've seen some really old-fashioned ones that sitting girls want you to do, and it's where you'll cut this into three and you braid it like girls' hair. You've probably done it in the schoolyard when you were young. It's a plait, and it's not very modern. I wouldn't see it done much now in restaurants, but it's the skill they want you to be able to do. So we could plait it. I'm not going to waste my film by doing that. We can do something called a paupiette, which is where we have the skin side on the inside, and then we roll the fish up. Get that effect, and you can even put some like julienne vegetables in there, cut the edges off, bake it in a bag, so you fish sauce and vegetables, sit this on top, seal the bag with an egg wash and bake in the oven on all the flavours, and that kind of steams the fish in the bag, and then you take it out of the bag, you can serve it. Or we can do goose on it, which is probably what we're going to be doing mostly at college. You cut it into little finger sized pieces along. Quickly show you that one, goose on size. And then we can pass them through flour, egg and breadcrumb. They're deep fried, served with chips, pudding or something, and a salad in the cafe bar menu. Okie doke, so don't worry when you come to doing fish, because obviously college is the place where we practice, we make our mistakes here while we're in class, so that when we go into industry, we don't make mistakes out there. We're going to have a look at doing round fish, perhaps a salmon next time. So please share and like this video. Cool.